Court proceedings in a municipal courtroom took an unexpected turn when a defendant identified as the son of a prominent supporter of former President Donald Trump drew attention for remarks perceived as mocking toward Judge Frank Caprio, a long-serving jurist known nationally for his courtroom demeanor and adherence to procedural fairness. The incident unfolded during a routine hearing involving a minor traffic-related violation, but it quickly became notable due to the broader political associations introduced into what is typically a nonpartisan judicial setting. Court records indicate that the defendant, a young adult, referenced his family's political views while addressing the court, making comments that appeared to challenge the judge's authority and experience. According to the official transcript, the defendant's remarks were delivered during an exchange over the circumstances of the citation and the potential penalty. While disputing the charge, the defendant alluded to Judge Caprio's public reputation and implied that political beliefs influenced judicial outcomes. Observers present in the courtroom noted that the comments were made casually, without formal legal argument, and were not accompanied by any motion or evidentiary submission. The court clerk documented the exchange as part of the standard record, and no immediate sanctions were imposed for the remarks. Judge Caprio, who has served for decades in municipal and traffic courts, responded by redirecting the proceedings to the facts of the case. Rather than addressing the political references directly, he clarified the nature of the charge, the applicable statute, and the options available to the defendant under the law. The judge reiterated that the court's role is limited to interpreting and applying the law as written, regardless of political affiliation, public opinion, or personal background. His response emphasized established legal principles, including equal treatment under the law and the separation between political discourse and judicial decision-making. Background information shows that Judge Caprio has presided over thousands of cases, many involving low-level offenses, and has gained national recognition through televised court proceedings and public appearances. His judicial philosophy, as reflected in prior rulings and public records, focuses on consistency, procedural clarity, and ensuring that defendants understand their legal rights and obligations. While his courtroom manner has often been described as measured and patient, official evaluations and performance reviews highlight adherence to legal standards rather than discretionary leniency. The defendant's familial political connection became a focal point for observers only after references were made in open court. Court documents do not indicate that the defendant's parent was present during the hearing or had any formal involvement in the case. No evidence was introduced suggesting that political affiliation had any bearing on the issuance of the citation, the scheduling of the hearing, or the judge's conduct. Legal experts reviewing the transcript later noted that such references are generally considered irrelevant to judicial proceedings and do not influence statutory outcomes. As the hearing continued, Judge Caprio addressed the defendant's arguments concerning the citation itself, reviewing the issuing officer's report and the applicable traffic code provisions. The judge asked standard clarifying questions, provided the defendant an opportunity to speak, and ensured that procedural requirements were met. At no point did the judge deviate from established courtroom protocol. The record shows that the final disposition of the case was based solely on the evidence presented in the defendant's compliance history, consistent with prior cases of a similar nature. The exchange gained wider attention after courtroom footage and summaries circulated online, prompting discussion about the role of politics in judicial settings. Legal analysts emphasize that judges are bound by ethical rules requiring impartiality and restraint, particularly when confronted with provocative statements. Judicial conduct codes across jurisdictions instruct judges to avoid responding in ways that could be perceived as political or personal, instead maintaining focus on legal issues. In this instance, analysts pointed to the judge's response as an example of adherence to those standards. Court administrators later confirmed that no formal complaint was filed regarding the incident and that proceedings were conducted in accordance with normal practice. They noted that defendants occasionally make statements unrelated to the legal merits of their cases and that judges are trained to manage such situations by steering discussions back to relevant facts and law. The administrators also reaffirmed that political beliefs, whether expressed by defendants or others, have no place in determining judicial outcomes. The broader context of the incident reflects ongoing public sensitivity around the intersection of politics and the judiciary. In recent years, courts across the United States have faced increased scrutiny amid heightened political polarization. Judicial officials have repeatedly stated that maintaining public confidence requires consistent application of the law and avoidance of political commentary from the bench. Professional organizations representing judges have issued guidance reminding members to focus on legal reasoning and to refrain from engaging with partisan statements made in court. In this case, the transcript shows that Judge Caprio concluded the hearing by explaining the ruling in plain terms, outlining any fines or requirements imposed, and informing the defendant of available options, including payment plans or appeals, where applicable. The explanation referenced statutory authority and prior precedent rather than any personal considerations. The defendant acknowledged the ruling, and the hearing was adjourned without further incident. Subsequent reviews by legal commentators highlighted that the judge's handling of the situation aligned with long-standing judicial practice. By not responding directly to the mocking tone or political references, the judge avoided escalating the exchange and preserved the neutrality of the courtroom. Analysts noted that such restraint is particularly important in cases that attract public attention, as it reinforces the principle that courts operate independently of political influence. The incident did not result in any policy changes or disciplinary actions, and court operations continued as usual. Officials reiterated that all individuals appearing before the court are subject to the same rules of procedure and standards of conduct. They also emphasized that respect for the court is essential to orderly proceedings, while acknowledging that judges bear responsibility for maintaining decorum through measured responses. In the days following the hearing, public discussion centered on the contrast between the defendant's remarks and the judge's response. While commentary varied across platforms, the official record remains limited to the factual sequence of events documented during the proceeding. No supplemental filings or appeals related to the incident were recorded, and the case was closed in the normal course. From a legal standpoint, the episode serves as an example of how courts address irrelevant or provocative statements without allowing them to influence judicial outcomes. The judge's approach demonstrated reliance on procedural rules, statutory interpretation, and established courtroom management practices. By focusing on the law rather than the political implications of the remarks, the court reinforced its role as an independent arbiter. As political discourse continues to permeate many aspects of public life, judicial officials and legal scholars stress the importance of maintaining clear boundaries within the courtroom. The events of this hearing underscore the expectation that judges will respond to challenges with professionalism and adherence to legal principles, ensuring that justice is administered without regard to political identity or personal background.